The night began with excitement. My wife Emily had been looking forward to this party for weeks. It was hosted by her college friend Olivia, and everyone from her old circle was supposed to be there. As we arrived, the music was loud, and the house was full of laughter. Emily's face lit up as she saw familiar faces. She was glowing in her red dress, the one she knew I loved most. I tried to settle into conversations, greeting people with polite smiles, but deep down I felt out of place. These weren't my friends. They were hers. Still, I wanted to be supportive. Emily disappeared into the crowd quickly, her laughter ringing out as she reunited with her friends. I stayed near the corner, sipping on my drink, watching her enjoy herself. At first, I was glad to see her happy. But then I noticed something. The way she laughed with James, an old classmate, seemed different. Louder, freer, almost like I wasn't there. James leaned closer, whispering something in her ear. She laughed again, placing her hand on his arm. My stomach tightened, and I felt heat rush through me. I tried to shake it off, reminding myself not to overthink. But with every glance, I saw her forgetting me more and more. It wasn't just a laugh. It was as if she had stepped back into a world where I didn't exist. I waited for her to notice me. Just one look, one smile, one gesture that I still mattered in this room. But minutes stretched into an hour, and she never once looked my way. The noise around me grew heavier, pressing into my chest. I felt invisible. I realized I was no longer part of her laughter. I was standing outside of it. Finally, something inside me broke. Without a word, I set my glass down and stood up. My chair scraped against the floor, drawing a few eyes, but not hers. I walked through the crowded room, past people dancing, past James still leaning close to her, past the laughter that no longer belonged to me. My steps were steady, but my heart was trembling. When I reached the door, I paused for just a moment, half hoping she would notice, half hoping she would call my name. But the only sound I heard was her laughter behind me. So I opened the door and walked out into the cold night air. The quiet was deafening compared to the noise inside. For the first time that evening, I could breathe. Back in the party, Emily finally noticed the silence in her heart. She turned to the spot where I had been sitting, and the empty chair hit her harder than any words ever could. Her laughter stopped instantly. The smile faded from her face, and she realized what she had done. In her joy of reconnecting with the past, she had forgotten her present, me. James tried to continue the conversation, but Emily couldn't hear him anymore. Her eyes searched the room desperately, but I was gone. She rushed outside, her heels clicking against the pavement, her breath coming fast. The street was empty except for the echo of her own footsteps. She called my name into the night, but I didn't answer. I had already started walking home, my thoughts heavy, my chest hollow. For the first time, she felt the weight of what she had lost in those careless moments of laughter. The memory of my steady eyes, the love I carried for her, came crashing into her like a storm. When I reached home, I sat in the dark waiting. I didn't know if she would come, or if this was the beginning of an end. All I knew was that something had shifted forever. An hour later, the door opened. Emily stepped inside, her makeup smudged from tears. She didn't speak at first, she just stood there, broken by silence. I looked at her, my heart torn between anger and love. Finally, I said, "Do you know why I left?" She nodded slowly, whispering, "Because I forgot you. Because I forgot us." Her voice cracked as she dropped to her knees beside me, begging me to understand, to forgive, to not let this mistake define us. I listened, my heart battling between the pain of her neglect and the years of love we had built together. Finally, I whispered back, "I didn't walk out to leave you. I walked out to remind you what it feels like when I'm not there." Her tears fell harder, but this time they weren't just tears of guilt. They were tears of realization, of understanding how fragile love can be when taken for granted. She clung to me tightly, as if afraid I might slip away again. And in that moment, I knew she had truly seen me, perhaps more clearly than ever before. The party was forgotten. The laughter with James was forgotten. What remained was the silence between us. And in that silence, the chance to rebuild. That night didn't end with music or dancing. It ended with tears, with truth, and with a promise that love, if it is to survive, must never be left standing in the corner, waiting to be seen. And from that moment on, her laughter was no longer careless. It was shared, with me, always with me.